In Leviticus 23, we see the list of the feasts that the Lord appointed for the Israelites to keep. Firstly, there was the Sabbath day every week, and then there were 6 special feasts throughout the year. Let's look at them briefly in order. Firstly, the Sabbath day. This was not a new commandment to the Israelites, and nor was it restricted to the Israelites. The Lord told Adam to keep the Sabbath as a day of rest right at the beginning of creation. As we have seen before, it was to be a special sacred day for God's worship and service. And it still is. We are to keep the Sabbath day holy as God's children. In many ways, it is the most important of the feasts, as it is to be kept every week. As Christians, we remember the Lord's resurrection on the Lord's Day every week. Secondly, the Passover. Do you remember what this was for? Yes, that's right. It was to remember God's great deliverance of his people out of slavery in the land of Egypt. It is a picture to us of how the Lord Jesus saves his people from the slavery of sin and the devil. The Israelites were to remember this every year with the Feast of Unleavened Bread, having a lamb sacrificed as a memorial of the one that was slain to put the blood on their doorposts on the night of the Passover in Egypt. Again, this reminds us of how the Lord Jesus died in our place, that we might be forgiven. Thirdly, the Feast of First Fruits. The Israelites were to offer the first fruits of their harvest as a token of thankfulness to him for his provision for them. It also showed that they trusted he was going to provide all they needed. Fourthly, Pentecost, or the Feast of Harvest. This was also a feast of thanksgiving, but this time when all the harvest was gathered in. Fifthly, the Feast of Trumpets. This was the first of 3 feasts in the 7th month. Sixthly, the Day of Atonement. As we have seen before, this was the most special and solemn day of the year, when the high priest alone would enter the most holy place with the blood of a sacrifice. Do you remember when we looked at this earlier in Leviticus, we saw how now the way into God's holy presence has been made open through the blood of the Lord Jesus, shed on Calvary for the forgiveness of sins. If we are forgiven, we can come with boldness to the Lord in prayer. Seventhly, the Feast of Tabernacles. This was the time when in years to come, after the Israelites had come to live in Canaan, they would dwell in tabernacles or booths, a bit like a tent to remind them of all the journey that the Lord had brought them through on their way from Egypt to Canaan. God was gracious to them, protecting them from their enemies, providing for them, and guiding them all the way, and they had much to thank the Lord for. So do you.